All right, so welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Roblox. All right, let's check it out. But before we do, keep in mind, none of these are recommendations to buy, sell, or trade. But if you do want me to give you my opinion on something, feel free to check out our Discord channel where you can get some insight and request some specific videos like this one. All right, you can get that in the description. All right, let's check out Roblox here. Roblox is basically, if we go to RBLX, when we look at Roblox Corporation, it's basically video game developer kind of thing. And you know, I have my son that played it. It's basically you're walking around and like this virtual reality stuff, and I guess you can buy different things, but you're walking around and you get these characters and so forth. So anyway, point being is, as we look at the stock, it's fairly new here in the marketplace. The question is do we go in and look at buying something like this, or is it more of a dump and not even going to bother with it? Well, here, let's look at it right here. Okay, here's kind of our IPO. The stock tried to power a little bit higher after a slight consolidation, and then we got this retracement. Now, the huge breakout came right around November 2021. We exploded to the moon, and we got into about 140, so that stock was very hot. It might be a little too extended, and that's why we're getting a little bit of a pullback. Now it's probably a little more oversold than where it should be. So people are thinking, hey, well, should I buy it now? Well, here's the question. Are you a long-term investor, short-term investor? What are you looking at it from a portfolio standpoint? I will say from a value standpoint, from looking at the technicals, looking at where people are positioned and have positioned their money, 60 seems to be a pretty solid support level. So this seems to be a good value opportunity. Now, if this stock does bounce and roll over, you could get people, you know, looking into this as maybe, again, another buying opportunity. But once it starts breaking and going on that downward trend line, it becomes very, very difficult to really find a bottom until you start getting more bases and like a baseline, and that takes a long time. So yeah, you could think of it as a takeover target in the future, but again, I think that's still way far away from that thought process, because I know people are thinking about that from this ATVI example here in the past. So if we go to RBLX, here, if we're looking at the actual price movement here recently, this right there is a nice solid support, and you can see, if we look at it just kind of in that range, you're starting to bounce right here. This was almost to the point where it was oversold, almost like a panic sell, and that's why you're starting to see some of that action, price action, starting to kind of come in. And what you'd like to see is a little bit of some sideways pressure here, or even a pop here to like about, you know, an $80 price point or so, 75, 80, and then a rejection, right, of that to retest the bottom. I know that might sound scary, but that's what you're kind of looking for. And then power higher. And because if you get that retesting, it confirms the move much more, and actually becomes more healthy. It may seem more scary if you're in it, but it actually is much more viable. So here, watch to see if you get this pop and then a follow through. So watch those price levels. So here right now, you're just starting to see some green little wicks and candles. Other than that, this stock's been showing a lot of red, and that's been a little bit of a problem. So I think what could happen here is if we hold this 60, right? If you're looking at kind of holding this 60 price target or price level, you could get a bounce. Now the problem here is when we get that bounce, how far or how high can we go? Are sellers, short sellers, going to get into it? And if that's the case, will we come back, retest, and bounce, or sell off? So those are some of the issues that I would watch in this case. So here's version 1, bounce, and now here, okay, are we going to follow through, or do we come back up, right? The other thing is that you could say, okay, once you bounce right here, can you get kind of a follow through right here where you're creating lower highs? So looking at a few of those scenarios, we'll see what happens ultimately. But I think 60 right now, you're kind of like right at a critical point right here at support. And this is really what you're looking at for possible buying opportunity at that 60, because you're getting into those lows near the IPO. And if it breaks below that 60, like let's say 58, 57, that would be probably a stop that I would look for. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to check out the Trader's Fly channel if you're interested in option trading and learn a lot more about trading options. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.